It's my honor to be here today with Jack Purcell, who's a great artist in the community, and not only an artist, but you work with a lot of kids too. Can you tell me where you work?
I do. I teach at Frontier Regional School in South Deerfield, and I've been working in comics for longer than that. So I hate to say the number out loud, but it's kind of big.
Okay, but you've been working in comics for a long time, and you've been working for the big companies, right?
Yeah. DC, Marvel, Disney. Yeah, pretty much all of them at some point.
What's that like, working for the big corporate, big names in comics? What is that like?
I mean, when I was a little kid, my goals were work on Batman and work with Stan Lee. And I got to do both those things. So they were big goals for me. Like my whole life revolved around this. So getting that first job at DC Comics, like I'll never forget that day walking out with an issue of Green Arrow. And I'm like, oh, I did it. And here we are. And then I didn't realize, but it's really hard to stay in once you get in. So
Why is that?
because you're working with all individual editors. So it's not just kind of like, oh, hey, Jack Purcell works for DC Comics. Let's just keep giving him work. You have to keep earning work. And there's a bunch of different editors and they have a certain amount of books and they got a lot of artists. So you got to try to find a way to shuffle yourself into as many editorial offices as you can.
Now, you said that when you were a kid, your dream was to do something on Batman
Yeah.
and work with Stan Lee.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, when you were a kid, what drew you to comics?
My father introduced me to comics, and I remember being a really little kid lying in a giant Batman coloring book. I'm like, this guy's the coolest, and I just like from there, I was just kind of introduced to a comic book called Brave and the Bold, where Batman teamed up with somebody different every month.
Okay.
I really like that. So it just snowballed from there. I just saw one thing after the next, and I discovered Batgirl and all the villains and all the characters that I really fell in love with. And
What about Batman really drew you in?
it's a combination. I think he just looked cool. I like the idea that he's in a cave. That just seemed like a cool idea. Like as a little boy, I'm like, oh wait, this guy gets to hang out in a cave with like big computers and cars and all this technology. It was all just really kind of a fantastic situation, and I could see myself kind of being there. Yeah, and everything about it. I love the artwork. I discovered the artists. I started following different artists and realized that they worked on other stuff. And I like what they did there too. And then I branched out and discovered Green Lantern and then Marvel when I discovered X-Men. I was like, oh, John Byrne. And yeah, and I discovered a whole new world and became obsessed. The death of Jean Grey, that stuff was just tough to beat. And his stuff in Avengers, which is really my all-time favorite team. I used
The
to,
Avengers.
I at one point had numbers 1 through 200 complete, and John Byrne was my favorite of all
That's
that.
an incredible run.
Oh man, it was like my goal. Again, I got obsessed. Like I got to have all of these, and somehow I managed to do it. I had like 1 through 200, and then a bunch beyond that. But 1 through 200 was the goal. Like that was like all my favorites: Neil Adams, John Byrne, George Perez, Jack Kirby, of course. Yeah, just like all the greats. They were all there.
Name an artist in history that you wish you could talk to that's passed away.
I've been really, really fortunate. Like all those people I named, I talked to all of them. The only one would be Jack Kirby, and I wish I could have talked to him.
Wow.
There would have been a Jack joke there too. So,
And so what would have been something you asked Jack Kirby?
I mean, I think I relate to Jack Kirby in a way where he really didn't become like well known in comics till later in life, and like it took me a while to kind of break out of the indies and get to DC. So I think I would have asked him like how he felt about that. Like, where did you develop this style? How are you so consistent and fast? Because those are the things. You got to be good, you got to be fast, and he was both. But that style is just so different than anybody else. I guess I would have just loved to pick his brain. Like, why'd you make that decision on that page?
It was when you were a kid with Batman. Is that where you started drawing? You started drawing Batman?
I did, yeah.
When did you pick up a pencil? What did you start making? Were you getting in trouble at school because you were doodling too much? What? A little bit.
I tell my students this because I'm big on transparency and getting them to buy into what I teach. But I tell them all, I failed geometry in high school. And everybody thought I should be good because you're the artist, you can draw. Like, how do you not know geometry? I just had no ability to deal with math and no interest. So I'd be drawing Batman and G.I. Joe and whatever else was going on in high school. I wasn't paying attention. So I didn't care. Which is terrible. My father was a teacher, so he wasn't happy about that either. But yeah, I was drawing superheroes and Batman. I was selling drawings of superheroes in junior high school.
Oh, cool.
People were hustling, selling candy, but I was selling drawings. So I was just always obsessed with it, and I think a lot of people responded to it. So I felt like it must be pretty good if people are responding. Yeah, I mean, there's a quick story where when I was in grammar school, I think it was It was maybe first or second grade. And when we would come in on a Monday, the teacher would start the day by saying, hey, draw a picture of what you did this weekend.
Oh,
And so she'd go around and like look at Johnny's work and my work. And
and you're kind of like, well, here, hold my milk.
yeah. So she would go around, and a lot of times it'd be a conversation like, oh, so what's that in the corner? And she'd need an interpretation. But when she came to me, and she's like, oh, you went to the Big E. Oh, I can tell because you drew blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, she doesn't need me to explain.
So you knew you had a flair.
Yeah, and it was something that I felt like I was good at that. So
When did you realize you were good?
I think I thought I was good all my life.
Good for you.
Yeah, I just don't tell people. Like if
Yeah.
I do a drawing, there's a mistake. Like I'm not going to point it out to you. If you find it, cool. But I'm not going to let you know that I don't like something because I'm hoping that maybe you'll see something in it you like.
If you were interviewing yourself, what's something that you would like somebody to ask you about?
Like what drives you to continue doing this? Like aren't you sick of doing this? Like I
Yeah.
just always try to keep things fresh. I think I've never stuck around too long. I think it's good to know when the party's over. So I think that's been one thing I've managed to do is like if I'm not feeling it and I need to re-energize myself, I'll do something different.
Okay.
And that helps to just shift gears. And sometimes people don't even notice. I remember working for DC. I was there for like 12 years straight. And at some point I just decided I got to do something different because right now I'm starting to feel like this is a job and I didn't want to feel that way. So there are just certain techniques I would try and do differently. And that kept it challenging and interesting.
You kept growing.
Yeah, it's always important. Yeah. That's always been a goal is just, because I never think I'm that great. Like, in the grand scheme of things, when we compare ourselves to Neil Adams and John Byrne, I'm like,
Yeah.
who am I?
Yeah.
So I got to find some way to at least feel like worthy of being mentioned in those circles,
What I'm going to do now is ask you 4 questions. Between 1 and 5, pick a number between 1 and 5.
3.
What comic story arc was the biggest disappointment to you?
Oh, there's a lot. I think as an adult, I really enjoyed this artist named Travis Charest,
Okay.
who was incredible. He did a book called Wildcats, and I was really excited about it, but I knew he couldn't meet deadlines. But his work was beautiful, and like I was obsessed with it. And I remember talking to one of the editors, and I'm like, "Is he actually going to do this book?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, we got him way ahead of schedule." That jumps out to me as an adult. That was probably the most disappointing.
And it was that Wildcat story that I didn't get to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you look up Wildcats, Travis Charest, it is stunning work. And a guy named Richard Friend inked it, and he's phenomenal, like very precise, amazing inker. And he did these incredible tryout pages for it that he's talked about, and they're painstaking and they're impeccable. Like every line just looks right. And so I love his work too.
And it had so much potential.
It was amazing. It was beautiful. The first 3 issues, I think it was, were absolute masterpieces.
6 through 10.
10.
What's your favorite comic pickup of the year? Would it be?
It's easy. It's absolute Batman #1. And a lot of people probably feel the same way. But for me, I kind of alluded to earlier, I stopped buying Batman for a while.
Yeah.
I just was like, it's the same old stuff. And I just wasn't into it. And then Absolute Batman hit. And at first I was like, I don't know, it feels a little goofy. I'm not sure this is going to work. But Scott Snyder was writing it. So I gave it a shot. And by far my favorite book right now. I always like to think I'm the biggest kid in the room. If you talk to some of my students, they probably think that too. Like I'm wearing a John Cena t-shirt. So for me, I liked the reimagining because I've seen a lot of people promoting certain projects as like, oh, the reimagined Batman. And it feels like, really? That's reimagining? This took it all the way. And I love that. And I love that they pushed it the way they did. I love the artwork. I love the writing. There's nothing I don't like about it. So yeah, to me, like a really vivid reimagining that was fun, made sense. It was compelling. Yeah, everything about it. It's like, to me, it's an embarrassment of riches. It's so good. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's just what comics need right now. And you're seeing that reflected in sales. DC Comics is doing something that nobody's doing right now.
Had the courage to reimagine their biggest characters.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason they're encouraged to do that right now is they're looking at copyrights running out soon. So they're trying to do like some wacky stuff because in whatever 12, 20 years, whatever it is, anybody's going to be able to do their version of Batman. So they want to try to say like, well, what could we do before the floodgates open and anybody else can give us their take on Batman?
11 to 15, pick a number.
11.
How are you feeling about the comic industry right now? Not a loaded question at all, Jack.
Oh, no. God, the comic industry is so crazy. I mean, it's always been an incredibly short-sighted industry. So like it depends on which hat I'm wearing. Like as a fan, I love it now because there's so much variety. Like I get a lot of the books I really like on Kickstarter. Like I don't have to go to the store even. So there's so many more options. There's so many ways for people to present their own work. Um, so I mean, as a fan, I love the comic book industry right now because I don't have to deal with the ugly end of it, producing a lot of it. I wish comics would get it together in a lot of ways and like work as a team. It's like a dysfunctional family, even like not the people who are creating, but the people who are shipping the comics to retailers. It just seems like a very unfriendly relationship a lot of the time. Like if you're producing these books that people have labored hard over and get it to the store and they're all damaged, and then fans don't want the damaged copies, and who can blame them?
Sure.
That's kind of disheartening that it just feels like there's a lot of disconnection. And not to say it's not a complicated process. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. But that part to me, I always feel like there could have been a lot more work done to streamline some of the way the comic industry works. There's an interview with one guy did, I can't remember who said it, but he said it really well. He's like, nobody cares that I'm sore from the night before and can't really work my left arm. They came to see me at my best, and what they see on TV, I got to deliver it. And that's kind of what I see with comics is like, you got to deliver.
Yeah.
Because people show up and they don't want to hear your excuses about why that, comic book showed up bent or why that retailer didn't get the 10 copies they ordered. They're disappointed. And now you might have lost a reader. And that part frustrates me because I hear so many stories from retailers about stuff like that.
Last question, okay? You've been hanging in there great. I'm very proud of you. Pick a number between 16 and 21.
19.
If your house was burning and could only grab one comic, what would it be?
Wow. That's a really thoughtful question.
Thank you. This is what I do for a living.
So it's a selfish answer, but I'd grab Gotham Underground, the trade paperback collection, because it's my favorite project I ever worked on with DC Comics. It was everything that I got into comics for. I'd have to keep that one. That would be it. I mean, it's my stuff, but I gotta do it.
I don't know if that's just selfish or sincere.
Yeah, and selfishly, my second answer would be the Guardian project that I worked on with Stan Lee, because he signed it to me. And that would have been a tough one to leave behind too. I don't necessarily care about the content as much, but it's like everything else about like how it happened and what we did, and it was the life dream. I'm like, how can I let that burn? You know, if I could grab one in each hand, like that's what I'd do.
Jack, thanks for talking to us today.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.